Imagine this scenario. You eat as much as you want, but the fat doesn't grow. Sounds like a fantasy? But in reality, there are foods you literally can't gain weight from. And what's more, these foods will help you lose weight. Because if you consume them in sufficient quantities, there simply won't be room left in your stomach for anything harmful. And today I'll tell you about 7 such foods. They're so filling, low calorie, and nutritious that your body itself will refuse to overeat. But most importantly, you'll be able to burn fat without feeling constant hunger. So watch the video to the end, because this list consists of simple and affordable foods that you see every day on the shelves of any grocery store. Let's start with lean meat. Chicken or turkey breast, lean beef. This is one of the cleanest protein sources. Minimum fat, maximum benefit for muscle recovery and growth. Meat provides the body with a complete amino acid profile, including essential amino acids, meaning those we can't synthesize ourselves. And it's also a very filling product. A plate of chicken breast keeps you feeling full much longer than the same number of calories from carbs. Yes, you might object, but what about a caloric surplus? If you overeat it, you'll still gain weight, or at least won't lose weight. And I'll tell you, no, you won't gain. First, protein has what's called a thermic effect of up to 30%. This means that a third of all the energy in meat is spent just on its digestion. Second, even if you conditionally need 2,500 calories per day, to get that amount from chicken breast alone, you'd have to eat, accounting for its thermic effect, over 6 pounds of meat. This is physically impossible to do. And one more detail. Lean meat is a source of iron, zinc, and B vitamins, meaning you won't just avoid overeating, but you'll also support your performance and recovery after workouts. The next product is whitefish, cod, tilapia, pollock, or halibut. This is one of the leanest and most easily digestible protein options you can find. The calories are even lower than chicken breast. Essentially, this product is like lean meat. You can eat it in large volumes and still not go over your calorie limit. To get your 2,500 calories from whitefish alone, you'd have to eat close to 7 pounds per day. Now imagine what kind of portion that is. Whitefish isn't just protein in satiety. It's also a source of phosphorus and iodine, which are critically important for thyroid function and energy metabolism. And the thyroid is your metabolic engine. If it's working properly, calorie burning happens much more efficiently. Moving on, cottage cheese. This is another product that's impossible to gain weight from. Why? First, it consists almost entirely of protein, if we're talking about the low-fat kind. Second, the protein in it is casein. It's absorbed more slowly than whey protein, so the feeling of fullness lasts much longer. That's why cottage cheese is recommended to have in the evening. It doesn't overload the stomach, but gives the body building material for muscles throughout the night. And third, it is lower in calories than chicken breast. And this means that to eat your daily calorie norm, you'd need to consume about 11 pounds of cottage cheese. Again, accounting for the thermic effect. Here, I think, no one will argue. It's physically impossible. Of course, you might say, but we don't eat only cottage cheese, but other products too. So here, let's also be honest with ourselves. You overeat precisely because of other products, not because of low-fat cottage cheese. The next category, leafy greens. Spinach, arugula, and kale. These are products you also really can't gain weight from. Why? First, their calorie content is so low that it practically amounts to zero. For example, 3 cups of fresh spinach contain fewer calories than half a small apple. Second, leafy greens are rich in insoluble fiber. It mechanically fills the stomach, creating a feeling of satiety without caloric load. Third, greens are a true source of micronutrients: potassium, magnesium, calcium, vitamins A, C, K, and B vitamins. All of this directly affects vascular health, the nervous system, and even recovery after workouts. Here you might also object, but you can't get full on salad, or can you? Well, let me tell you. Try adding a handful of spinach to your regular dish, or make a smoothie where 70% is greens and the rest is berries for flavor. You'll be surprised how quickly the feeling of hunger passes. And most importantly, you get satiety, micronutrients, and minimum calories. So if we're talking about foods you can't gain fat from, greens are at the top of this list. You'll simply get tired of chewing it before you can get any calorie surplus from it. The next product is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. These are sweet, tasty, and at the same time, low-calorie options you practically can't gain weight from. On average, 1 cup of berries contains 30 to 85 calories. To gain at least 1,000 calories from berries alone, you'd have to eat about 4 to 9 pounds, which, as you understand, is unrealistic. But the main thing about berries isn't just low calories. They have lots of fiber, which slows down carb absorption and gives a feeling of fullness, meaning you get a sweet taste, but without a spike in blood glucose, which usually makes you want to eat again soon. That's why berries are an excellent alternative to sweets if you're craving something sweet. Plus, berries are a huge source of antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. There are hundreds of studies that confirm their benefits. I think we don't even need to list them here, since it's so obvious and there's no doubt about it. The next product is mushrooms. Same situation. A perfect example of food you can't overeat. 1 cup of sliced mushrooms contains about 15 calories. For comparison, that's like a teaspoon of sugar. Mushrooms combine 2 important qualities at once. They contain both fiber and protein. Thanks to this, they provide satiety, but don't overload with calories. To gain even 1,000 calories from mushrooms alone, you'd have to eat over 11 pounds, which is also physically impossible. Now about the benefits. Mushrooms are a good source of antioxidants and vitamin D, which many people lack, especially in winter. There are studies that show that regular mushroom consumption helps you stay full longer and stabilize appetite. So this is also a great product that adds variety to your diet, fills you up, and allows you to cut calories without feeling hungry. And last on our list, but definitely not last overall, is high water vegetables. Cucumbers, celery, zucchini. This is probably the simplest and most obvious option for those who want to eat a lot but not gain weight. Let me explain why. On average, such vegetables consist of 90 to 95% water. Their calorie content is minimal. For example, 1 medium cucumber contains only about 45 calories. For comparison, to eat even 500 calories from cucumbers, you'd need to consume close to 6 pounds. It's physically very, very hard to do. You simply can't. Besides, these vegetables are versatile in use. Cucumbers can be eaten raw or made into light salads, added to dishes. Celery is often added to smoothies or soups. Zucchini is just a godsend. You can sauté them, bake them, or even make zucchini noodles as a pasta replacement. Meaning, the more of these vegetables in your diet, the less you'll eat of those foods you can really gain excess weight from. These are foods you can eat in large volumes and not worry about your physique. So today we only went through part of the foods that are practically impossible to overeat. In reality, there are significantly more. Remember, losing weight isn't about starvation. It's about choosing the right foods to be full and satisfied. If the foundation of your diet, 80%, consists of products from our list, leafy greens, white fish, berries, high water vegetables, then those 20% of treats, sauces, snacks, desserts definitely won't hurt. But if it's the opposite, most calories come from high calorie foods, fast food, sweets, snacks, there simply won't be results.